Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to the Gavel. We're still going to be reviewing the activities of the Senate and the House of Representatives for the year 2014. This week, we'll be speaking with some lawmakers in the Senate and the House of Representatives to examine some of the major bills and activities of the National Assembly in 2014. Now, we begin with a federal lawmaker, Senator Bukola Saraki from Kwara State, who gave his personal assessment of the Senate in 2014.
There are many things we could have done better in the 7th Assembly. There's no doubt about that. I think we want to be honest with ourselves. We want to be really say it as it is. I think there are a lot of things we should have done better. I think we perform, in my view, but even including myself personally, because it's collective responsibility, I think we perform below the expectation, I think, of the country, and also, I would say, even by my own standards, what I think we should have done right.
In what areas?
Well, I think that we could have provided better guidance, better oversight to the performance of the executive. I think a lot of stuff, yes, that the executive have done and is doing, that I think that if we've been a bit firmer, a bit tougher, they might have not have done some of those things. I think that there was more of loyalty towards the president, and I think, with all due respect, and I'm picking my words right, towards what was important for Nigerians. I really do think that. I think that the executive had their own faults, but I think if we had come a bit harder on them, I think they could have restricted their steps on a number of issues. On some of the important bills, you talk about PIB. PIB is such an important bill. It takes just more than the legislative to pass a bill like that. There's some bills all over the world that are so key that you find out that it's an executive bill. It is owned by government. It is owned only by government. It's owned by the president. Sometimes you watch in America sometimes where the president on bills like that, he engages legislators on a one-on-one. What are the issues? It's not a bill that just comes on rules of business, the order paper, and not a bill like PIB. As you say, that's the hope that we have time. But I think that a lot of things that should have been done to lay the foundation, the easy passage of a bill like that hasn't been done, and maybe the times a few months ahead something can still happen.
But so you say that the executive did not own the bill?
I don't think that they played the role for a bill as important as that. I don't think so. I think for a bill as important as that, there should have been a lot of more engagement and discussions behind the scenes with the legislators, really to understand what the issues are. I don't think a lot of people understand what the issues are. Particularly when you talk about the fiscal incentives, I don't think a lot of people understand what are those fiscal incentives. What is government losing on a revenue basis? And if they're losing that now on the short term, what are the revenues coming up on the long term? What is the commitment that the oil companies are giving for this fiscal incentive? What's going to happen to our production level by making this incentives? What kind of investments is going to come in over? These are key questions that will let people understand the urgency or the need for the bill and how it needs to be passed. So I think by and large, honestly, I think that and I hope that those coming in, senators in the 8th Assembly, will learn, I think, from some of the mistakes of the 7th Assembly, mistakes in how the legislature and the executive should engage in trying to address some of these issues that are key for the nation to move forward. As I said, look, it's a collective responsibility, and one must share part of the blame. All I know is that in my individual way, one tried as much as possible, to speak on some. And I think some of those things I spoke on, something that put us into trouble with the executive. But till today, one has taken a lot of flack for it. One has lost friends because of it. One has been on the wrong side of government. But I think that those are issues that we're right then, we're right now. More and more we can see some of the mistakes we've made. We've been talking about some of the, like for example now we all see the challenges on our budget because of the oil prices that dropped. But when the oil prices were high, there were a lot of leakages that a lot of us were shouting that we should block these leakages. But then because there was so much money flowing around, nobody cared and nobody was interested in addressing some of those issues. And those issues are coming to haunt us now, because now, we have to do them now, finally, I guess, because at benchmark of 65 or whatever it is, definitely, those kind of decisions must be taken. And that's where the issue of character comes in. And that's where leadership, in going into these challenging times, the issue of character is so important, because these are decisions that are not easy. Don't get me wrong. They're tough decisions, they're decisions but at the end of the day, you must have the character to say, look, nobody is as important as this country, and as such, I'm going to put our country first against all some of these interests.
A committee was set up. Not even a committee, it was downstream set up.
Yeah.
They came out with a report, and where is that report? The report never saw the light of the day. It was laid. It was never deliberated. I don't think it's going to be debated. Are you worried that after all that drama, nothing has come out of?
When I said I don't think the Seventh Assembly has done itself a lot of favors. I mean, you just give me one good example. A report of that importance to today, 2 years later, I've not seen it's a pity. But I said, look, I hope that as legislators, as leaders, and also Nigerian people, we can learn from what has happened in the last few years. And the only thing we can say to ourselves is that, we should never allow this kind of thing to happen again as we move ahead in taking certain decisions. Some of these decisions are difficult. Don't get me wrong, it's not easy. Even for me, when I was raising that motion, it was not easy being in the government party and having to say that something was going wrong. But I think that we must begin to decide on some of these issues. Nobody is pretending to say anybody is a saint or anything, but there are certain issues that really have had the fiber, it goes to the crux of the matter of most of these issues. And when we get there, we must be able to stand up and say, no, let's do that. Now, some have acted thinking by doing, they were protecting themselves, or they were in somebody's good books. But look at them, look at the end of the day today. A lot of those senators that stuck their neck out for their party and for the government, at the end of the day, when it's time for the party and the government to give them the support in their own primaries and elections, they did not find anybody. So now both ways they had to stand on their own, and there's no way to. And I think we should all learn from that. It's better let us do what is right and do what's right. We might not have friends at the end of it, but let us stand for the people of the country that elected us.
A federal lawmaker in the House of Representatives and spokesman of the House, Zachary Mohammed, also spoke about some key issues that plagued the federal legislature in 2014.
And I believe that what we need is the fact that we need to build on the gains of the past. The 8th Assembly, when it comes, it will definitely leverage on the foundations that have been set by the 7th Assembly. So it's been so well, so good. That is not to say that we have been able to meet all our yearnings, or the yearnings of Nigerians, but we have, between the limits of time and space, try to, as much as possible, give a direction and a definition to the fact that the Parliament, as enshrined in the Constitution, is meant to discharge a responsibility, and we insisted on the independence of the legislature. That we have done as much as possible. So in the year under review, we have been able to take on those issues quite pragmatically.
The issue of lawmakers decamping this year was a major feature of this year. How would you say that has affected the Parliament?
Every politics is local. Some people voted you here, and you need to bow to their yearnings and aspirations. If you don't do that, it means that you'll be on your own. So, bearing that in mind, you find that legislators, and of course, which of course is a reflection of the entire body politic, have to move from one party to the other. The beauty of it is that in the parliament, less emphasis is placed on party affiliations. And if you look at it, since you've been covering the parliament, you discover that it's scarce for you to see votes or on every subject matter contributions going on party lines. You'll be surprised that your party man will even be your strongest antagonist on every issue, on some issues when you bring them up. So parliament is, the parties are vehicles for us to get to the parliament. Then each time we talk, we take a pan-Nigerian stand that tends to promote and protect the interests of the Nigerian people. So I've read in some media where people allude to the fact that it is about politics of I must survive by all means. But I practically want to disagree with that, to say that we as representatives of the people must bow to their yearnings and aspirations. If they believe that a particular party is not meeting up with their dreams, that liberty as enshrined in our constitution is freedom of association, way to move on.
I remember vividly that during the year, a lawmaker in the House of Representatives brought up a motion having to do with a number of bills that had been passed and hadn't been assented to by the president. Is this something we're really going to note this year for?
Yeah, as at the last count, we had about 33 of them pending on the table of the president that he was supposed to append his signature on so that it becomes law. And at some point, we are threatened that we're going to withdraw those and override his veto. Of course, because of heated issues, we have not been able to do that. But definitely there's a possibility before this assembly winds up, there's a possibility that can happen, because it does not make any sense making laws and of course they're just being held up on somebody's table. Which the Constitution has given us a leverage. That's what the makers and quaners of the law had looked at the situation where if the man who's supposed to append the signature decides not to, where are the windows of opportunity you can leverage on? And part of it is withdraw then, and of course by total majority of the House, override his veto. So it's a possibility before the assembly winds up. It's not out of place.